Hi, Ryan Steinelson here with Business Trends TV, where we interview the trending businesses that are out there, the ones that are setting the trends in their respective niches and their service industries. And right now, today, I have with me Gregory Tendrich, and Greg is a securities fraud attorney, and I'm going to let him tell you a little bit more about what he does. But he's very ahead of the curve in terms of not only his knowledge base, but also in terms of the years of experience that he has, and also the amount of casework that he's done. And I just wanted to bring Greg on the show today because he's got a lot of great information that he's going to give you today, so that if you are in a situation where you have a stock fraud situation or any other type of situation, you'll know you'll have some answers. And Greg, how you doing?
Fine, Ryan. How you doing? Thank you.
Doing awesome. Maybe tell the people a little bit about yourself and where you're at and what you do.
Sure. Ryan, I have a practice that's devoted to securities litigation. I've been in Boca Raton now for about 10 years. I spent 10 years as an in-house lawyer representing major stock brokerage firms and wirehouses. And about 10 years ago, I decided to open up my own practice representing investors and stockbrokers with regulatory matters. It's a very specialized practice and one that we're very proud of, given my background and experience.
Yeah, so you've got a lot of experience, and it's a very specialized niche. There's not many, I don't think many attorneys that deal in that specific niche out there. Are there a lot of attorneys that do what you do, or is it?
No, I mean, it is a very specialized field, and there are a limited number of lawyers around the country that handle these types of cases. Okay. I think investors should be aware, however, that they should look for those attorneys that have a background similar to mine, where they have a background representing brokerage firms as well as investors who have been aggrieved by their stockbrokers.
One of the questions that I had for you today is, we might as well just kind of get into some of the questions that I have, because ultimately, I mean, there's a lot of different securities type cases I'd imagine that are out there. So what kind of securities cases do you handle specifically? Are there any in particular that you wouldn't handle?
Well, I will represent any investor with a claim either against their stockbroker, their financial advisor, their insurance agent, an individual that may have sold them an annuity, a registered investment advisor, a bank officer, any individual that has sold an investment to an individual. Those are the types of cases that I will represent an individual on.
Okay, so all right. Well, so it sounds like it's a pretty, you're pretty broad. I mean,
it is broad in the sense that there are hundreds of investments out there that people can purchase. We typically, though, will represent those investors who have gone through the more traditional means, if you will, through a stock brokerage firm or a financial services company or a large bank, to make those investments. Those claims typically involve, just so you know, when an individual opens up an account with the brokerage firm or the bank or the securities firm, they have an agreement where they agree to arbitrate their disputes. And that's what I specialize in. I specialize in handling those claims where we will arbitrate those disputes. Okay,
so arbitration, I didn't know that was standard as part of the standard stockbroker agreement.
It is, in fact, a standard clause in most agreements, although there are some agreements that call for having a claim heard in court. But 9 times out of 10, these investments that clients make through a large brokerage firm, bank, financial advisor, or registered investment advisor, those claims are mandated to be heard typically in arbitration that's administered through FINRA, which is the agency that actually regulates those investment advisors.
Okay, so there's a standardized committee that basically oversees the entire community, I guess.
Well, arbitration is a unique animal. It's similar to being in court, but there are other nuances to arbitration that make it a lot different. FINRA, which is the agency that hears these claims, has offices located around the country. There is a filing fee involved, but they administer these cases, and there's arbitrators that are pre-approved that the parties can select. And a claim, unlike court, will typically take about 18 months to go through the entire process, whereas a lawsuit could take years and years to go through its start to finish.
Yeah, I've always thought that I'd prefer going to arbitration versus going to a court-appointed group that would hear your case and through that whole process. So it's good to know that there is a way to do that, to go through that arbitration process as opposed to going through the regular court system.
Well, the beauty of arbitration is it's less expensive than your traditional court case, and it's a much more efficient and expedited process, which allows individuals to get a result, whether good or bad, in a much shorter time frame. And again, the cost, there's a significant cost savings to individuals to go through the arbitration process.
And you kind of specialize in that type of a case.
That's 99% of my cases are heard in the arbitration process. I handle those claims, and I have been handling those types of claims now since 1991.
Wow, well that's good. I'm sure people would appreciate that in saving the money and then also saving the time and getting a resolution much faster. I think that's a win-win for everybody. So that's why I wanted to have you on the show today, because I know that there's probably people out there that are wondering what to do when they're in that situation, and they probably want a more expedited resolution. So one other thing I'd like to point out, I also serve as a FINRA arbitrator. So I'm very familiar with the FINRA process. About 15 years ago, when I was an in-house lawyer for a major brokerage firm, I applied and became a FINRA arbitrator. So in addition to being an attorney representing investors, I also sit on arbitration panels and hear claims and see lawyers and how they handle their cases. And we ultimately will make a decision on behalf of an investor or financial advisor, whatever that may be. But again, I would stress to anybody looking for a securities lawyer to look for somebody with that type of background and knowledge. I'm a FINRA arbitrator. I represented stock brokerage firms for about 10 years, major wirehouses around the country. And for the last 10 years now, I've handled the cases on behalf of the investors. And additionally, I am a Florida Supreme Court certified mediator. So mediation is very common in the securities litigation world. Most cases ultimately, at some point in time, will rely on the use of a mediator to try to resolve that dispute before they actually go to an arbitration hearing. The beauty of mediation is the customer, the plaintiff, if you will, or the claimant that has filed the case, the parties actually control the process. Whereas in an arbitration hearing, if you go to a final hearing, you don't control that process. You leave it in the hands of typically 3 arbitrators. I got you. So a couple of things. Number one, it's kind of, you have been on the other side of the fence, so you know how these arbitrators think. So that probably helps you be a more effective representative for your clients in that you've been on the other side. It's kind of like hiring an accountant that's been an auditor. You know, if you know how that process works and what the auditors are looking for, you can obviously keep your clients away from the auditors, which is a good thing. And it sounds like that's kind of what you've done, correct?
That's exactly right. I mean, again, having knowledge, 20+ years of knowledge of the actual process, both as an arbitrator and as a lawyer for whether it be individuals or stock brokerage firms, I pride myself in knowing the rules of that particular body, FINRA, which is the agency that hears these arbitration claims. And you're right, it gives me a unique perspective. I know what the arbitrators want to hear and probably need to hear on behalf of the clients that I represent in those proceedings.
in order to get that case resolved in the best fashion for your client, which is.
Well, we don't make any guarantees, but without question,
Yeah.
You want to present your case in the strongest possible light. And having the years of experience that I have, having sat on actually all three sides of the fence, if you will, as an arbitrator and a defense lawyer and a plaintiff's lawyer, we know what needs to be said and done on behalf of the individual that we represent.
Wow, and I didn't know there was a difference between mediation and I just assumed that when you went to arbitration there was a mediator involved, but what you're saying is that's a whole separate process that you have less control, you have more control over, as opposed to the arbitration process at the end. That's what you were saying also, correct?
That's exactly right. Arbitration is the legal process, if you will, like the court process, where you actually have typically 3 arbitrators who are your judges, who ultimately will decide your case. You present your case like you would in court. You present witnesses and you present evidence in those cases, and those arbitrators will ultimately decide the case. Mediation, on the other hand, is a process where the parties will agree to bring in an outside, independent, unbiased third party to evaluate the claims and ultimately try to get the parties to make various concessions and hopefully resolve their claims.
Wow. So you have 3 people that really kind of come in and take more control over the case, and the other one is a mediator comes in and you have more flexibility because it's a mutually decided upon mediator that you guys both decide on, I guess. Is that correct?
Exactly right. And the mediation process is a non-binding process. If you don't like what you hear with the mediator, or if you don't like the offer that is being conveyed by the other side, you can walk away from that process.
Nice.
Whereas in the arbitration process, if you go to that final hearing, the decision that is rendered by those arbitrators is the final decision.
I know you said before that 99% of your cases are arbitration cases. Then what percentage of that, I guess that remaining 1% would be mediation, I guess, versus a...
Well, when I say 99% is arbitration, probably 85 or 90% of those cases actually at some point in time go to mediation.
Okay.
So it's not, even though they're mutually exclusive, they're interconnected in any arbitration case that I will typically file. My point is we typically will use a mediator at some point in time to try to resolve that case. Okay,
so a mediator can be used in conjunction with an arbitration case,
exactly,
and 85% of the arbitration cases end up being mediation, which is good.
Exactly right.
Because then you've got, I think that's just the best way to do it. So that's, I mean, just from my limited experience with the court system and in other types of court cases that I've been exposed to, I always prefer to go that route. So that's good to know that's what you're leaning towards. If somebody wants to get a hold of you and learn, get more information from you, or set up a consultation with you, how would they best get a hold of you, Greg?
Well, they can always visit our website, or they can call us through our telephone number, which is on our website.
Yep.
And again, we offer a free consultation, and anybody can call at any time, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions that they have.
Yeah, your website's right below you in that bottom third there, so I'm purposefully keeping the camera on you right now. And Greg, it's been awesome. Is there any final words of wisdom that you want to leave people with before we sign off here?
Well, I just would tell everybody, if you have any question whatsoever regarding your investments, there are good qualified lawyers out there to answer your questions. And if you're not getting the answers from your stockbroker or financial advisor, you should certainly contact a lawyer, and we could investigate those claims and see if there's anything that we can do on their behalf. Okay.
Great. Awesome, Greg. I appreciate the time that you've given us today, and we're gonna post this video to your website, and so that people can get access to these questions. I'm sure you probably get a lot of these questions a lot, so it'll be nice to be able to send somebody to a video where they get all their questions answered before they meet with you. But we'll do this again maybe in a couple months.
Okay.
And thanks for your time, and let's talk again soon, okay?
Okay, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.